Hey guys, HardlyBriefDan here with episode 51 of the Unity Making RPG series. Last time I left you off where we started creating these what I call player info containers, enemy info containers, basically just icons that you or normally see in RPGs that have your health, your energy, whatever stats information you want to have, basically they can have. And I showed you a really ugly basic way to create one. We talked about how to add your name here, how to change this sprite so that you can change it to like a character portrait, and then I showed you that with a new fill option in the Unity 4.6 UI, you can change the health value and stuff based on the fill, like on a fill ratio. So if I go to the health bar here, I can actually change it, and you can see it go up and down. And then I left you off where I left you in a spot where basically you were trying to find. We were looking at adding our health to that bar, and we created a value there that shows up that shows your total player health, and I just left it at 0. And I told you guys I'd fix that, and I wanted to show you how to do it. It's very simple. We were calculating our player stamina here, and we call this function player stamina is equal to the script, and you get this stamina value, and then using the stamina value, you send it to this calculate total health, and it multiplies it by 100. And you can see that in our battle state start script, and as well as in our stat calculation script here. I'll go ahead. In our stat calculation script, we have this very simple function. I told you I'd keep it simple, where we calculate the health, and it's just our stat value times 100. And what we weren't doing was actually getting the base stamina value, and like we did the other two stats. So what you need to do is create a line here in our determine player vitals in the battle state start class. It's the determine player vitals method here, and it's called, in the line of code is game information dot stamina is going to be equal to our game information dot player class dot stamina. And what that's going to do, it's going to get the base value of our player class stamina value, which is 12. And then when we go ahead and calculate our stamina, and then we send it to our player here, and we calculate our actual health, it's going to end up being 1200 because we're multiplying by 100 here. So now when I go ahead and press play in Unity, you actually see that it says 1200 now. And you can do the same thing with your energy. We actually, if you remember, our energy value here was just in our stat calculation, just times 50, and that was endurance, I think we said. So nothing too complicated, but I did want to show you that. The one thing I wanted to do today was talk about how we can go ahead and create kind of a menu style. I'm going to touch base on it a little bit. I'll show you kind of how you guys can get started, and then you guys should definitely be able to branch off from it. I can't show you how to make a beautiful UI because I probably can't make a beautiful UI, or and more so, it would just take forever. It would take hundreds of videos, I'm sure, to create some fantastic, perfect UI, and I probably won't do that. But I do want to show you kind of a way to build a menu system, or kind of think of a way to build a menu system. I'm still playing around a lot with the Unity UI, so I'm not exactly sure how everything works still. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a button, a toggle button, and when you click the toggle button, it's going to make a drop-down list of other buttons. And that drop-down list of other buttons is going to be our abilities. And we only have 2 abilities, so I'll just put those 2 abilities on there, but you can probably create a function, like a method, like a for loop, that basically creates a number of buttons based on however many abilities your player has, or however, if it's all the abilities, up to you. I do not know how to use a scroll rect yet, so if you look at the GUI components here, I'm on the player health bar right now. I'm just showing you there's a scroll rectangle here. I'm not really sure how that works, and I'm assuming you use that along with the scroll. Where is it? Is it UI? Scroll bar. I think you use a scroll bar and a scroll rect to create a scrollable window. I'm not exactly sure how to do that yet. Maybe when I figure it out, I can make a video on it, and then we can update this. But basically what I'm going to do, show you how to make a toggle button using a few things in the inspector. We'll set the toggle button up to display a container that I'm going to call it, and that container will have abilities. So what we're going to do, we're going to do that now. What I'm going to go ahead and do is actually copy or duplicate this player info container. So I'm going to highlight it in the hierarchy, and I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate it, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it down like that. and you see it's duplicated the same exact thing. We don't need all this, so I'm actually going to go ahead and open it up and delete it. We don't need the portrait, we don't need the energy bar or the health bar. We just want the container. And I'm going to go ahead and call this abilities menu, or abilities container, I guess we'll call it. Like that. I forgot another I. Okay, so we have this abilities container here, and what we want to do is add a button to it. That's the first thing. And we're going to go ahead, so highlight it, go to UI, it's going to add a button. Didn't even, okay. Oh, excuse me, not a button, we want a toggle button. So game object UI, hit the toggle button, and you can see there, I'm going to go ahead and drag it to our abilities container, and I'm going to drag it up to the top corner. And we're going to go ahead and label this melee abilities. Right? So what this is, oh, I forgot an I again. Goodness. There we go. Got the I in there now. Okay. So what my idea is you could have a simple menu system here with, like, think about Pokemon. Let's think about Pokemon a minute. Pokemon has a simple abilities button. What's like abilities, items, run, and I think one other one. I don't remember. Switch, maybe. Swap. So that's something you could set up. You could set this all up so that you have 4 buttons here, that when you click it, it disables everything and turns on another menu. My idea was to have, and like what I'm going to show you is that all applies. It's up to you how you kind of want to design it. What I'm going to show you is just how to create the toggle button here, and then when you click it, it's going to show another menu of other buttons. And then what I think you guys all should do, or try to attempt to do, maybe if it fits your project, is kind of create your own maybe unique UI. Maybe you can post a video and like as a response, and we can all look at it and see what you guys create. I think that'd be pretty cool. But basically, I'm going to go ahead and get you guys started and show you what I would do in this situation. So right now we have this melee abilities toggle. I'm going to go ahead and open it, go to the background, and I'm going to go ahead and change the check the label here to melee. Like that, right? Oh. And so now when I go ahead and press play, you'll see this toggle button here. It's automatically starts toggled. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is go to your melee abilities. I'm going to actually add the toggle name to it, just so that we know that is the button. And you see in the inspector here on the toggle component, it says active, and there's a plus or a check mark here. Just uncheck that, and it won't stay active at the start. So when you go ahead and press play, you see it's not active, and when I go ahead and click it, it shows up. Right? That's what you want. That's what you want your start spot to be. So now that we have this toggle button here, what we want to do is create a smaller container inside of it. And this is what I like to do. You can, if you're gonna do the other menu route, like if you're gonna copy exactly like maybe like what Pokemon does, what you could do is set the same container up here and then add or create another container. You can call it Melee's container, kind of like what we're gonna do, and maybe set like a grid style to it and make it take up the whole space. But what I'm gonna do is when you click this, it's gonna have your abilities just right below the button. So now I'm going to go ahead and copy this abilities container. So I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to delete the second toggle button. And now you see I have it here. I'm actually going to go ahead and manually place it like this. I think it's 130 is our size. Like that. And now, yep, so our button's 130. I'm going to go ahead and keep this at 130. And we know our abilities container is 200. We'll make it actually 150 height. Let's make it even, I guess. We'll go ahead and make it 200 actually. Make it a little higher. I'm going to go ahead and move this ability toggles up, and we can do a little bit of math here. We know that our abilities container here is 200 high. We know our toggle is 330, so we know we have 170 left. So we can go ahead and make our height 170, which should be a fit if I adjust this container. There we go. Okay, so you can actually see this container here, this little outline. It's right below our button, which is what we want. It's 130 wide and 170. These are pixel values based on this 19 by 20 or excuse me, 19 by 16 by 9 resolution here. Remember, that's the resolution I'm working in. So this container here, we're going to go ahead and add a layout component to it, and it's going to be a vertical layout group. Now, what this is going to do is when I attach this to our abilities toggle, we're going to disable this and enable it, and then we're going to add buttons to it. So, and the layout group is what is going to keep them all stretched the same and look the same. Basically, the layout group is going to center all of our buttons. You might not want that. Because maybe you don't want the buttons to stretch, maybe you want them all to look the same. But this is just a way to show you how a vertical layout group works. There's also a horizontal layout group, and there is a grid layout group that you might want to use if you're going to go and try to copy Pokemon. That might be the route you want to take. But so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this abilities container to our abilities toggle, I think. Actually, we'll go ahead and keep it out. We're going to go ahead and actually add a couple buttons to it first. So we're going to go ahead and go to the game object UI, go to button. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop that onto our abilities container, and you can see it actually stretched to fit. And this is because because we set the vertical layout group, right? And you might not want that. You can go around and play with padding. It's kind of cool, like the vertical layout groups. It's much like the old GUI, what's it called? GUI layout function that is in Unity 4.5 and before. It acts much like those layout groups. So it kind of creates a simple way of creating buttons and stuff. The way you could also set it up with a content size fitter so that it stretches. I think you can probably even add a I don't know how scroll bars and stuff work yet with the new UI. I haven't played around with them yet. But I think you can add those components to this and set it up so that once it reaches a point, it will just start scrolling instead. So you can look into that. If I figure it out, I can go ahead and let you guys know. But as of right now, I don't know how to do that yet. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to change this button to ability 1. And I'm going to name it that. I'm going to name it A1. And I hit enter. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. Like that, and you see it readjusted itself, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it, let's see, 2 more times, and I'm going to change it to A3, that one it is, change that to one A2, and if you watch my other video, the Game of the Month video, I actually I did something very similar to this, and I think it's a good way to set up a GUI. It's very simple. It's nothing too complicated. I'm gonna go ahead and change these to A1 just so I know exactly what it says. You can go ahead and access all this text later, or via a script like we talked about last time. You can set up little toggles, or you could set up basically, like, if you highlight it, you could set up an action so that on highlight it adds like a little, maybe a text box over here that shows a description. If you guys want something like that, let me know and I can go ahead and cover that. But my plan right now is not to go too in depth with a GUI. I think I just want to give you guys some really good foundations or basics, I guess, and then you guys can expand upon it. And I definitely, you guys should definitely make some videos and show off your projects. We can even talk about them if you want. But here we go. We have this abilities container. I'm going to go ahead and disable it like that. And what we're going to do is on our abilities toggle, if you remember, there's this on value change boolean little box here with the little plus and minus buttons on the toggle component in the inspector. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit the add to list. And I'm going to drag this abilities container game object from our hierarchy into the little spot over here. And I'm going to click the no function. We're going to go to game object and set active. Now what this is going to do is when I activate this button, it's going to activate that container, which includes our buttons, or our buttons for our abilities, like that. And now, so hopefully you kind of see what could happen, or what this could be used for. Let's say I wanted to change the color. It's really not that. Yeah, here we go. The gray is really hard to read the text. I want to change it real fast. So sorry about that. I'm going to just change it to black. Okay. So basically my idea is if you wanted to make a whole bunch of buttons, you could set one up like this. As your buttons here. These will be your abilities. Maybe you want 4 melee abilities, 4 spells, and 4 items. Maybe they only can come to battle equipped with that, 12 total things, 4 potions, 4 spells, and 4 melee attacks. And you could set up like an inventory for these. That's an idea where this idea would work. You could create your 4 boxes here that basically turn on and off things. And I wanted to show you guys that with this bullet chain on value change boolean here. That's a good way to set game objects active and non-active. So what you're doing is you're just turning the game object off. You're not actually like destroying it, and you're not reinstantiating it again. You're just saying, hey, don't be visible, and then be visible. So now what we want to do is access some of that information. So what I'm saying is that we want to make ability A1 here our normal attack. So what we need to do with that is access the abilities container when it's active, and then set A1 text to whatever. And then we can also add a function to the button. So what we'll do is here in our battle GUI, we create these 2 buttons, if you remember, and we actually say we do a lot of stuff here. We set the player move to whatever the move is, and then we set the state machine here to add status effects. This is like what moves our ability. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go ahead and create a function here. And I guess what we'll do in this case, because we know we only have 4 buttons. If you're doing unlimited buttons, you're going to have to create some logic within a for loop that figures out which ability was chosen. I don't know how to do that off the top of my head. I can think about it and get back to you guys if you want. But what I'm going to go ahead and show you is let's say we'll do private, and then we'll say ability 1. Okay, and this would be a method here that we need to actually make it public. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete that, and we'll do public void ability 1. And what this will do is in our function, we have this battle GUI here that we can attach to stuff, and we have it attached to our battle canvas. So what we'll do is on our A1 button, we see this on-click event spot here. We can go ahead and click add. We're going to go ahead and attach the battle canvas as a game object, and the function we're going to go call is in our battle GUI class, and it's called ability 1. Right? So that means ability 1 button is going to have this on-click action attached to it. And actually the way you would do this, I believe, is if you wanted to add a unlimited amount of, if you had let's say a list of abilities that the player had, and those in the list of abilities were all the unlocked abilities, what you could do is create a game object, a prefab, of ability button. It would just be a generic like A1 or A name, which would be ability name button, and you just instantiate that prefab in a scroll rectangle in this location for however many abilities are in your list. So you'd have to create a for loop, go through the for loop and count how many are in the list, and then create one of the prefabs in this game object when you turn it on. That's one way to do it. Hopefully you kind of understand what I'm saying with that. If not, if that's a big demand, I can go ahead and try to put a video together for all that. But I think this should be enough. So what we're going to do, again, is now that we have this ability 1, we can go ahead and kind of copy some of this stuff and put it in there. We know ability 1 for now will just be our normal move. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this turn-based combat state machine stuff. I'm going to go ahead and paste it in there like that. And what we need to do is actually go ahead and get this player move 1 ability name and change that to that text value. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and create another private text object up here, or variable. So we're going to go private text, and this is going to be ability 1 name. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to a lowercase a instead of capital. We're going to go ahead and do the same find child thing that we did that in the last video. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this player health, and we'll paste it. And what we're going to have to do is say, hey, find the child, let's see, battle canvas, find the child called abilities container, right? So we'll do ability. I'm going to go ahead and copy ability one name, and we're going to say find the child called abilities container. So I'm going to actually just go ahead and copy that, make sure I get the spelling correct. Copy, and then we're going to, from there we want to say, okay, find A1, right? So A1, and then we're going to go ahead and get the text component. So we can go ahead and delete this find child here. Now I think this is going to throw an exception, because what we're doing, the game object doesn't exist yet, well, it's turned off, and I'm not sure if it can find it, so we'll find out as we go. So what we want to do now is, now we have that, we can say, let's go ahead and set the text. So we'll say ability one name dot text is going to be equal to this game information dot player one move one dot ability name, right? So that's going to change the text of that button to from A1 to I think normal attack. Now again, this might all fail because the game object's turned off, but it should, I don't know if, yeah, I think it should work, and it didn't. So we can go ahead and figure out why, because I don't know. And we did get an exception up here, it looks like. Here it is. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Right. So basically what's happening is abilities container here, it can't find it because it's not turned on. So what we can do now is create a function that finds out this information for us. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and create a public variable down here. Public void, and it's going to be find, we'll call it find ability one info. And what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and copy or cut this ability one name and text and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just cut it, and we're going to go ahead and paste it in this function. Now the cool thing that we can do is, using all these little tools here in the inspector, when we turn off our button, so when we go to the melee abilities toggle, we can go ahead and add another on change abilities in this boolean box here. Go ahead, click the plus. We'll go ahead and drag the battle canvas on there, because that's where our function is, and we'll go to battle GUI, and we'll see that new function we created called find ability one info. So what this is going to do is, when we click the button, it's going to find the ability one info. It should. It didn't. Something failed. All right, let's go ahead and find it. Let's see, object reference not set to an instance of an object. So, I'm not exactly sure how we can do this then. I'm just stumped. Oh, you know what? Let's see. We're saying ability one name is equal to the transform.abilities container, so it's getting turned on, right? And then we're saying abilities container A1. I'm getting, that's right. A1, get the component text. Let's check where this got thrown, on what line it didn't say. Gonna go ahead and comment that out. I believe it's this ability one name here is this error is being thrown on. We'll go ahead and turn off these. Okay, go ahead and press play. We should see the error again. Okay. And actually, the change states on us, which is interesting. So that's good. We got a reference. What's this one? Oh, because it doesn't have it. Okay. All right. Well, let me explain a few things that's happening right now. One, we have a improper reference to a variable. It can't find the object that we're talking about, and I think it's because it's still disabled. So we'll go ahead and we'll work on that in just a second. But the ability button's actually working. So if I go ahead and click it, you can see that it's actually changing everything. This ability just doesn't have a status effect on it, so it's throwing all these exceptions right now because it doesn't know what to do. Because we didn't actually create a function where I told you about how to create a function to check to see if it actually has a status effect first, but we didn't create it. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is change this effect to that move to our / ability that has a status effect on it, so we can get rid of some of these errors while we're working on everything. So under our ability, our GUI, second GUI button here, where we have our player move to, I'm going to go ahead and copy the turn-based combat state machine 2 lines of code here, and I'm going to replace what we have in our ability 1 button. So basically I'm changing ability 1 to ability 2 kind of thing. Right. Okay. So now what we want to do is figure out how we can set that up. So figure out how we can get rid of so A1 doesn't show. We don't make sure that's working. Okay. So the ability is working. That's good. I don't know where this expected toggle received IO object reference not set to an instance of an object. All right. Again, I think this is because it's turned off. Like if I go ahead and just turn this on right away, I think we won't get that error. Oh, actually, it didn't even show. So something's wrong with this line of code here. So let's figure it out. We are finding a child called abilities container, much like that, and then we're saying find the child player portrait, which we do, and then we find the name and we get the component text. So we're looking at the abilities container here. I'm going to make sure I copied that correctly. And we're going to find the child called A1. Go ahead and copy. Let's call it ability 1 like that. Just to make sure, you know. Go ahead and copy that and then we'll paste it in here. And we're going to go ahead and get its text component, which, oh, you know, that's why. So the ability 1 doesn't have a text component on it, and I apologize for that. Ability 1 has a text game object on it, so we need to do another find. That's where our issue's coming from. So we'll do find child, and we'll say it's called text. Goodness, there we go. Okay, so let me explain. Hopefully this works. Let's just check before I have to explain everything. Click. There we go. Nope, still failed. Why? I'm not sure why this error is throwing. Maybe you guys do. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video here, and I'll be back in just a second. Alright, hey guys, back. I found the problem right away. Very simple fix. I'm sure maybe you guys probably saw it, so I apologize for that. But basically, up here we had two abilities containers, right? So I just needed to relabel the one that we turned on and off called melee abilities container. Basically, what was happening was the compiler was saying, "Hey, you have two abilities container, but I only see the first one, and that doesn't include any of the things you're asking." So basically, it needs to look at a melee abilities container, which it does there, finds it, and then I set the name to ability2, ability name. So now when I go ahead and press play, it shows up there, / and you do it, does all the moves and stuff, and now we're actually in our player choice again. And if you remember, it does it really fast. So if I go to the console, you can see everything. It's actually working. We're doing everything that we want. It's just doing it real fast. But anyways, that is that. So hopefully, what we've done right now is we have a toggle button set up that basically shows a menu of all the choices that we could have, which replaces these two. You can go ahead and do normal attack / if you're following exactly what I'm doing, or you don't have to do that at all. It's up to you. I did want to show you, basically this is a very simple menu. What you could do is, I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate both of these like that, and I'm going to go ahead and move the first one over like so. Like we want to move it to 130, I think it was, right? So right, so let me move this abilities container. I guess we'll move that one over. Basically, this is what I wanted to show you, is that you could create one of these and then have several set up, right? So If you want to have melee abilities, spells, and potions, like 3 buttons, then you could do that. You could add animations. I created a video, another UI video that talks about some basic, simple animations. You could have these all animated, so when you click on this, that these just don't appear, they slide in or something, you know. All up to you, all up on how you want to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I just wanted to show you how we can go ahead and create some new UI elements. Hopefully you like what we're doing. I think it's coming together pretty well. We have these 2 icons here. We have a melee button that shows some of our moves. I do want to go ahead and end the battle stuff soon. I want to go ahead and jump in and start doing some inventory stuff because it's a lot of fun, I think. So I'm going to try to wrap up again the battle stuff in the next couple of videos, and then we'll move on to inventory. And if you guys got tons more questions, we can come back to this. But so probably in the next video we'll go ahead and talk about how to kind of update the UI with player health and stuff, and make sure that we can actually battle back and forth with a enemy, make sure that's all working fine, and then we'll move on to inventory. So please like, subscribe, comment. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, or Facebook. All those links are in the description below. If you want to comment whatever you want, leave some feedback, tell me how your projects are going. I'd love to read about it, and I'll talk to you guys next time.